Hello, welcome to today's video. In this video we're going to continue following international master from Bulgaria Ruy Salimova's games at the Women's Candidates Tournament in Toronto, Canada, and we're joining her here in round 7 against Katerina Lagno for the last game of the first half of the tournament. So 8 players, everyone playing each other, both with white and black pieces. This is Nurgül's 4th game with the black pieces, and she's facing Katerina Lagno, one of the, I would say, 4 favorites in the tournament. So let's see what happens and do a quick recap of this game, which started with e4, e5, knight f3, and Nurgül this time goes for knight c6, unlike in the previous games with the black pieces, where she preferred the Petrov defense by going knight to f6, not knight to c6. Instead, she plays here the knight to c6, and after bishop b5 we have Ruy Lopez, or Spanish game, followed by a not very popular but still adequate defense, kind of trying to get Lagno out of her preparation with what's called, I believe, the Cozio defense. Knight from g8 to e7. So the game continues, very equal, as you can see from sorry, you can't see from the evaluation because I haven't put the evaluation on, but if we pop it on for a sec, we see that these are completely normal moves. And we continue with castles for white and development for black pieces. Nothing unusual here, just 2 players who are developing and pretty quickly exchanging some pieces. This is different from Nurgül's previous game, where she was looking for more complications. Here again, she's not looking necessarily to simplify the game into a draw, but more pieces are being exchanged early in the game, which is different from the previous games. Again, nothing to split between the 2 players here. Nurgül with an attack on the king side, but with 2 pieces usually you cannot checkmate the king. And of course Lagno defends this very obvious threat of checkmate by moving her pawn forward and blocking the queen. Knight needs to move, but instead Nurgül threatens a piece of equal value, which is the bishop. And after the bishop retreats, Nurgül continues her attack with the best possible move in the situation. b4. So here she has to play b5 because moving the knight anywhere would allow potentially the bishop to escape and would allow the queen to move back to c3. And you know, Nurgül still hasn't even castled, so there's many things that she needs to do quickly. So she continues the threat on the bishop, and now all the pieces all of a sudden are exchanged, because both players kind of feel forced and have to do these moves in order to maintain equality. Not exchanging would be bad for either player. So the game has simplified into quite, I would say, a drawish position, where we have 1 minor piece, meaning knight or bishop, left, and the 2 pairs of rooks. Have development of the knight, and finally Nurgül castles, allowing her rook to join the game. She's down a pawn, like in the game against Guryachkina, and even before in some other games, she's down a pawn again. But it's not so clear how this can turn already into a win for white, as Nurgül is very, very safe. We have a bunch more moves that basically help, I think, in my opinion, black to stabilize their position and activate the pieces. Notice here that with the moves that Nurgül made, this rook is now free to enter the game. So development continues, and both of Nurgül's rooks are very active, which is reasonable compensation for the fact that she gave up a pawn. We continue with threat on the knight here, so Lagno needs to deal with that, which she does by defending it with the rook, and the game goes on with further pawns being exchanged. After pawn to f5 came one of the few not so accurate move by Nurgül. Computer prefers to keep the rook on this file, the g file, but she moves to h5. But this is not enough for Lagno to win the game outright, and after a few more moves, if you notice here, she has an advantage of 0.9, and to do that she needs to activate the knight, first to e3, then maybe to find it a better square like c4, and so on, in order to make the most of this knight. From here it could attack 2 pawns, so Nurgül will have to spend moves defending these pawns, and this is considered good for white. But probably she didn't want to leave one of her main defenders of the king, so instead she started developing with the rook, which brings us back to equality. Rooks get exchanged, and things are starting to look really drawish unless one of the players makes a mistake. Nurgül snatches a free pawn, and after bishop to c8 and a check on the knight side, notice here it would be a big blunder to go into safety with the king. Going king g7 would result in the rook taking this pawn and creating a lot of trouble for white, as the rook will be able to kind of ravage the black defense position and probably escort this pawn to advance further. So Nurgul plays the correct, and oh, as the computer says here, only good move out of the two moves. One is really bad, one maintains equality, and now we have further exchanges of pieces and pawns, which leaves us to a very, very drawn endgame. Yes, Lagno managed to hold on to an extra pawn, but it's a pawn at the end of the board which is not developed yet, and Nurgul has plenty of resource to save the game. So at move 41 here, meaning they also made move 40, which gives them extra half an hour, the two players agreed to a draw. So, quick recap today, not much happening in this game, but still great defending by Nurgul. Half of the tournament is gone, and Nurgul sits at 3 points out of a possible 7, meaning only half a point behind what it would mean if you drew all the games. So not a good tournament for her, in the sense that she's not challenging for the first spot yet, but she's the lowest ranked player. So I think being 5th out of 8 top women's player is amazing. In her interview, she said she's not happy with her tournament, which of course is amazing. It means she wants to attack more. She's not happy with 5th place, even though behind her are 3 amazing players. So I'm very excited that she's in this feisty position. Her comment on this game also suggested that she had many ideas, but none of them really materialized in her, planning into something really devastating for black. So indeed, I think that draw was absolutely the fair result, and not an easy result in the end to achieve, playing a pawn down for the majority of the game. Okay, that ends a recap. Today is day of rest, so there won't be any videos tonight or tomorrow on this tournament. And we look forward to round 8, where Nurgul is going to be back in action tomorrow night. Thanks very much. Subscribe if you like these videos, and let's keep on cheering for Nurgul. And also, what a great tournament it's been for all the players. Some really fantastic games. Thanks a lot, guys. See you at the next one. Bye.